Hi guys, so it's Miss Mancuso and Mr. Colli here. We're just coming on because we wanted to talk to you guys about the census. So this week in Yonkers, there's a huge push for you guys to kind of be more aware of not just what the census is, but why it's so important and how you actually go about figuring out how to do it and getting involved. So a couple of things that you guys should be aware of. First thing, what is it? It's basically just a head count of every single person that is living in the United States right now. So not just New York, in the United States as a whole.
Now, what everyone needs to understand, there's no negative ramifications or negative consequences for participating in the census. Actually, it's the exact opposite. We hurt ourselves by not participating in the census. And we'll get to that as we advance through the lesson.
Okay, so the census ensures a couple of things. First thing is that the US government represents the people of this country correctly.
Okay, now, what that means, it's very simple. Every state is participating in the census, okay? Now, depending on the results of the census, each state, it determines how many representatives are allowed for that region. And we'll get to that in the next slide, but you need to understand a census, it's basic questions, and we're going to cover a question a day as this week progresses. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but understand all a census is doing, it doesn't care about what your status is. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. They're not concerned about that. They're concerned mainly how many people are in the United States. Now, they're not using that number to be punitive. They're not using that number to punish. What they're actually doing is, based on that number, determines what money Yonkers, New York State, and the rest of the states will get.
So how often is this done? There's going to be a population count every 10 years. So just speaking from my experience, this is the first year that I've had to fill it out for myself. My parents did it before, and I was a little bit intimidated because I didn't know exactly what I was going to have to do. Super, super, super easy. So actually filling it out, I felt pretty good. I don't know about Mr. Colli, but I felt pretty good about it because, doing your part, pretty simple. And like he said, he'll go over the questions the next couple days, what exactly they ask. It's nothing hard, but it's really, really important.
Now, just imagine this, a decade, every 10 years, okay? So let me try to put this in perspective. If this isn't filled out, if people ignore it and it's not done accurately, this formula, the government's going to use this formula for the next 10 years. So if this isn't filled out properly and people say, throw it out, and I am aware, listen to me, we're all living in this uncertain crisis. Now more than ever, it's important to fill out the census because depending on the results of the census sets up this state for the next 10 years on federal aid from the government.
All right, so the census determines how many seats each state gets in the House of Representatives.
Okay, now, my history students, we went over this in September. You know what I'm talking about. Congress, the legislative branch that makes the laws in this country, is bicameral. What does that mean? Two houses. We have the Senate, which is equal. Doesn't matter how big your state is, you can only send an equal amount of representatives. The House of Representatives is based on population. Newsflash, and I know you know this, New York is a very highly populated state. So you want to fill this out because the more people in New York and the more people who stand up and get counted, New York's allowed to send more representatives to the House of Representatives. What does that mean? The members of the House of Representatives work for us. They try to push initiatives that help residents of New York State. So you fill this out properly, we get represented properly.
So it's a privilege. It is and always has been the cornerstone of our democracy.
just like the right to vote that some people don't take seriously. Guys, taking part of a census, and Ms. Mancuso said this, and I'm just going to piggyback on what she said. Like, you get this, you get the thing in the mail, and it's got this code. You have to go online,
Right.
and it's intimidating. Then you go there, and you're like, wait a second, that's it.
Right.
You'll see as I cover it this week. All they're asking is how many people living in the household. And it's not
Basic questions.
correct. It's not overwhelming. Like what's your you'll see. It's so
It's not a math test.
simplistic.
It's not a chemistry test.
Yes,
Just wants to know about
which
it.
I would not do well in, or math for some of us, for me anyway, I guess. But just like voting, look at it as a privilege, okay? That you're being counted, that you're not being neglected. If you ignore the census, it's almost saying like, okay, just neglect me, and you're worth more than that.
So leaders are going to use this data. They use it to make important decisions about the city that you live in.
Now, this is going to hit home, so I need you to pay attention to this.
This is big.
When Yonkers, this is why Yonkers counts for education. That is the hashtag that we've been using on social media to bring attention to the census of 2020 for this reason only. You fill this census out properly, and that dictates the money that Yonkers Public Schools will get to function. If it's not filled out properly, Yonkers will not get the money that the school systems deserve. Who gets hurt? You do, we do. We're in this together, guys. We work at the schools, you go to the schools, you utilize the schools. It will basically, if it's not filled out correctly, we'll cut programs and activities and services that you utilize.
So your response to the census guides planning for the future of our communities.
Okay, now, remember, a census is taken every 10 years. The results from the census set up the formula on how your city, your town, your state, how they are going to be set up financially for the next 10 years. Think about that when your census paper is sitting on a kitchen table or sitting on the living room table or sitting on a cabinet somewhere. Think about that, okay? Think about how important your enrollment, your activity in this is so critical.
Right, 10 minutes, that's all it takes. Okay, it determines a couple things, and this is huge. How billions of dollars are allocated annually. So to roads, to schools, to the fire department, the police department, and there are hundreds of other programs that this is going to go to.
Now, guys, give you an idea. Billions of dollars. Remember, we're the United States of America. The federal government has to divide this money within the states. What you have to understand is the way they create a formula on what state gets the money that they deserve is dependent on people filling out the census. So if you fill out the census, Yonkers, New York gets the money that they deserve. Schools, fire and police, hundreds of other programs. I know people like art and music. I know people like participating in sports. I know people like all the services that Yonkers provides its residents. These services are allowed based on the revenue that the federal government gives us, and that formula is generated by your participation in the census. Now, I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank you for allowing us to show you the significance and the importance of a census. We're going to, all week, I'm going to do a question a day. I'm going to focus on getting you and your parents involved in the census because it is that important, okay? So we appreciate your time and we thank you.
One last thing, Mr. Colli, can I,
Yes.
I'm gonna nominate you for the hashtag Yonkers Counts for Education Challenge to make a social media post of your choosing. So I did one, I was nominated, and I made a TikTok, so I'm gonna nominate you.
Excellent.
And
Thank you. I
then,
appreciate that.
and I'm going to nominate the Lincoln High School student government, and I'm going to nominate Mr. Sherman to make some sort of post.
I
So
think we should nominate Dr. Attar too. I don't want to let them feel left out.
I love it. I think that, so I think those are my three right there, my three groups. Do you want to nominate your classes to make it?
Yeah, yes, I think I should nominate, as the assignment, your only assignment this week, obviously participate in the lessons about the census, but you have to create some type of social media, whatever platform you use, and I know you use them all, okay? Promoting the census and why it's
I
important.
love it.
Okay, that
I'll
is your
share
only
mine.
assignment for the week.
And
Good
I'll
idea.
share, yeah, I like
Pretty
it,
good
right?
idea.
And
Yes, girl.
I'll share mine. You can share it with your kids and push them to, and push them to
I'll even
nominate
do a
other people.
TikTok. I'll
Good.
do it. I'll do
I
one
love
too.
it. All right.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys.
guys. Thank you.